So we come to the end of the Arthurian cycle, the story of the death of Arthur, the formation of Camelot, the seeking of the Holy Grail, the Civil War, the death of Arthur. The ending of the story, some might say, is unsatisfactory. But it certainly does seem to be satisfactory in the sense that it concludes a story of greatness and nobility and honor and virtue, seeking for something beyond this world, and the tremendous cost that it takes to form one's heart towards heaven. The imagery of the story is certainly powerful. It's filled with icon after icon after icon. We have those images, the questing beast, the round table, the grail itself, dragons throughout, certain characters like Elaine or Lancelot or Gawain. We have images of tremendous love throughout the story. Elaine for Lancelot, Lancelot for Guinevere, Arthur for Guinevere. We have images of brotherhood and images of camaraderie. We have commentary on the social situation, what it takes to make a civilization. And we've got that amazing scene of the final dissolution of the society and the falling apart of everything that is beloved in order for the individual characters to reach heaven. That imagery is so powerful that it ingrains itself in the English imagination. It becomes one of two pillars that make up really the culture of England now as we know it. On the one, the imagery from the Bible, and on the other, the imagery from the Arthurian cycle. That imagery lasts well into the 20th century. We have images on advertisements, we have images in architecture, we have images in paintings themselves, we have images that seem to last in literature. There were stories during World War I, for instance, on the battlefield, of knights in shining armor showing up to help the English. There were stories, for instance, of a lady on the field of battle with a shining sword leading the charge at the Battle of the Somme. All those stories, which seem such strange balderdash to us now, were held as reality by many people because of this longevity of the story of Arthur. More to the point is the image of that democratic society that's created by Arthur, where all the knights had equal seating at that table. The image of the Wheel of Fortune and that constant battle for superiority and for success, which the Wheel of Fortune represents, is turned on its side to make the table where there is no more vying for a head position at the table. Everybody has an equal say. So powerful is that image that it continued in English society to inspire things like the Glorious Revolution and the rights of men and John Locke's theory on politics. All of them have, to some degree, their roots in this image of the Arthurian society, the democratic society that Arthur creates. Because of that, even for Americans, the whole foundation of a society based on God-given rights, where all men are created equal, that itself has its roots in this idea that we're searching for something wonderful, powerful, amazing, a grail. And we're going to get that grail by the democratic society of all knights equal, working together. That's something which is very inspiring and has inspired poets and artists, theorists of politics, philosophers, for generation after generation. In some ways we could say even that America coming into the war in World War I resembles the return of Arthur in the time of need. Certainly there were those among the British who thought such. We have to take into account, though, of course, the story, Malory's story, with all of its longevity, with all of its beauty and all its glory, also has a very powerful thing to say about human nature and about human loss. Arthur is the once and future king, it's true. And true kingship comes not just from being powerful, but from a nobility and inspiration and encouraging people to greatness. But great kingship also is doomed to eventually fall apart, because the king has to sacrifice himself to rectify those mistakes that he himself made. And the king, like Lancelot, has to come to grips with the fact that he's mortal. He is not God's answer to the world. He's just a man. And to reconcile ourselves with our own fate with our own suffering, with our own faults and mistakes, I think, is Mallory's ultimate statement about what the Grail really is. Ultimately, when we look at this story, it doesn't last for generations because of the fighting. It doesn't last for generations because of the nobility. It doesn't last for generations even because of the imagery. It lasts because it says something about the nature of our existence. Our existence, which is bound for greatness, also is doomed to fall apart. And to come to grips with that, to be reconciled to our own fate, our own weakness, our own human nature, I think is the greatest quest that anyone can be embarked upon. And it's a quest not just to find the Grail, but to find ourselves aboard that barge of the Grail. So when the time comes that we have to face our own ultimate physical failure, our own ultimate death, we can do so with a largesse, a greatness, a grace, and frankly a nobility that allows us to be said, as it was said of Arthur and also of Lancelot, that we are the once and future king ourselves.